Let's make the marble earrings. This has like 3 different little sections. We've got a 2-color marble, all 4 colors marbled, and then at the top we just used the gray granite for these little buttons. Now, marbling is such a fantastic way to use up scrap clay and to use up pre-mixed or sort of mixed clays, and I love that about marbling. But then it does come out different, you know, every single time you do it. So it's always going to come out pretty, but it's always going to come out slightly different. So let me just show you how to use your scrap clays to make marbling. First, let's make those little buttons that go at the top. And I just took another 16th bar from the gray granite. And what I'm going to do is use this circle template as a guide so that I get those little buttons exactly the same size. So from the 16th bar, I just have it really conditioned smoothly, and I'll just position the template right in front of me, and I'm pushing the clay down so that it fills up the template. And I love using the smaller circles in this way to create a little button shape. And then we can do that again for the second earring. And because I cut my little pieces of clay really similarly in size, it should make the buttons the same thickness. And then I'll remove the template, and I'll use my needle tool to pierce a hole at the bottom of each button. I just poke the needle tool in and then dance it around a little bit to make a nice even hole. Then I'll pick this up with my little blade, and I want to just examine it and make sure it's really neat and make sure that that hole is going all the way through. I'll do that with the second one too. So that's the button at the top of the earring. These pieces here are ready to go in the oven, and you just need to follow the baking instructions that are in the guide for perfect baking. Okay, next let's take a look at making this beautiful piece at the bottom. That is actually only white and only gray granite, and it makes just a really nice blend. I love using these 2 colors together. It actually looks like more colors than it really is. So just take a 16th from the bar and make sure they're nice and squishy. And then what I like to do is just kind of flatten them out with my fingertips, and then I'm going to smush these together, and then I'm going to fold them into each other like so. And I'll use my roller to smooth this out. And basically I'm just going to keep smushing these into each other until I have a blend that I really like. Now you can see that I'm always folding it off center so that it's creating really cool looking patterns. You know, they're not uniform or anything. It's just like partially mixing all around. And I just love that. It looks kind of like stone, how you get areas of solid gray and areas of solid white, and then you get those beautiful transitions between every piece. So I'm rolling this pretty thin, and I want to make sure I have enough background there to get this piece, the circle piece, cut out twice. So you can just stretch it a little bit with your fingertips. Oven baked clay is so easy to work with, so stretchy and forgiving. And then I'll punch out this little half round, half donut shape, and it looks like I'll get 2 of those perfectly. What I'm going to start with is my straight blade, and I'm going to go right across the bottom of that half donut and make a straight line. And then I'll double check to make sure I've got enough clay on the other side. And I do. Okay, at this point what you can do is you can continue to use your straight blade, or you can use your needle tool. And I like to show you how to do both. So with the needle tool, you just pierce all the way into your work surface below, and then drag it right around the outside of the template for a neat cut. Then remove your scraps and just gently lift up the design template, and then we'll reposition it over here. And then I keep wiping just those little bits of clay off the tip of the needle. It kind of picks up a little bit of clay as you're cutting along. Sometimes on the ends I go back the other direction so that you don't drag clay out and overemphasize the point. Once you've played with these a little bit, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So it's just practicing good technique and good skills, which is what you'll learn from this kit. Now I'm just gently separating the shapes, and then I want to go back and use fingertip pressure to really smooth all the edges, making sure they're nice and neat. You don't want them to look like they were made with a cookie cutter. You want to smooth that edge and make it look really pretty and fashionable. Okay, so there's our two bottom pieces, and you really have to think ahead about the way you want to assemble things, because if you're assembling things with jump rings, you're going to need holes. So I'm going to prepare my pieces exactly to make this exact earring pattern. So I want to poke in and dance around a little bit in a little circle to make sure I have room for my jump rings later after it's baked. And then I'll just pull those up. At this point I would double check each and every hole by going all the way through, making sure you've got a nice neat hole. And these pieces are ready to bake as well. And look how pretty the back is too. So like I said before, when you're doing a marbling technique, it's going to come out different each and every time, but beautiful each and every time. Okay, so those pieces are ready to bake. Now this 4-colored marbling technique at the top, this is a super great way to use up scraps. So I'll just pull in the scraps that I have from my Mokume Gane pendant, and I'll pull in these scraps as well. And I'll even pull in this scrap that I had from the buttons. And so what I want to do is just mush all this together, and I want to fold it and twist it to make sure each color is represented. Like the back of this scrap has a lot more of the ecru in it, and I want to make sure that shows. And you can just ball this up with your hands. So you're going to produce scrap when you do the terrazzo earrings and when you do the Mokume Gane pendant, and this is just a really great way to use that up. So now I want to smooth this out with my roller into a little patty. Now the back is really has a lot more swirls and not so marbly, so I think I'm going to call this my front. And I like that, how it's going from kind of a broad stripe to more of a fine line over here on this side. And we're doing the half circles again, so that's going to be plenty of clay. I'll just pull this guy back in, only this time I'm not going to cut out the bottom or the opening of the donut. I'm just going to use it like it's a circle. I do need it to be in half though, because it's 2 semicircles to create the earrings. Make sure I've got my blade with the sharp side down. It's a good tip. All right, and while that's still in place, I'll just circle around with my needle tool to cut out the edge. I feel like I didn't go quite all the way through. There we go. And then I'll pop my template up and reposition it on the other side of my midline, and then go around this way. These templates just make it so easy for creating fashionable mix and match style shapes and pieces. So I'll pull the scrap away and then pop this off. Then I just want to orient both of these so that they're right side up facing me. Smooth the edges again. Make sure all your cut lines have a nice smooth edge. Okay, that's going to be the top of our earring, and remember those buttons that we made earlier. Let's position everything how it should look so that it's right side up to your view, and we'll put these back down here, the little marbled pieces, like so. That way we can make sure all the holes line up for the jump rings later. So up here we're going to need another hole right at the top to hook the button to the half round. And then we're going to need holes down here along the bottom of these half rounds to connect these to the half donuts. Let's Just make sure you have nice, neat holes. Okay, all of this needs to go in your home oven following the baking instructions for Primo. And I will show you how to assemble them on a pair of earrings that I've already made. Let's assemble our baked pieces into earrings. Make sure that your baked pieces are completely cool before assembly. So I've already glued on an ear post to the back of the button, and here you want to use your favorite instant dry or silicone glue like E6000 and let that dry completely before moving on. Let's have a little tiny jump ring lesson. I like to use pliers to assemble jump rings into jewelry, and I've got the little opening at the very top so I can see it. And then I'll hold it on either side of the little opening with one pair of pliers on each side. I rotate one pair toward me and one pair away. And that is the proper way to open jump rings so that you don't stretch them out. Just opening one away, and one toward you. Then we'll thread this through the hole at the top of at the bottom of the button, and then at the top of the half round. Okay. And then grab it again with your pliers and rotate the opposite direction to close the gap. And that looks really good right there. Okay, next we will add jump rings that I've already opened to the bottom section. So I'm going from the back to the front. So I want to do the same thing with this piece. I want to go from the back of the hole to the front. That ensures that the front pattern of the earring is in line with the front pattern of this part of the earring. And grab this with pliers and twist them closed. Alright, now I just have one more jump ring, and I'll go through the back first again, and through the back of this hole. I'll grab it with my pliers to help push it through that little hole. And then grab both sides and rotate the opposite direction to close them. Then you can just spin the jump ring into place so that that seam in the jump ring is at the back of the earring. Now all you need to do is repeat that process to make your second matching earring. And you're good to go.